Hello everyone, it's Professor Zero Rank 5 back with a deck profile with and this time with Favrneel, as it's obviously you can see over here obviously. So this time this is my own take on like this build. So it's the one with, I would say, have a lot of like playability. I would say not playability. I think this is personally this is my own viable build. So this is the best I can test out so far, but I would be more than happy to make some future changes or like listen to some feedbacks on whatever you guys are playing. So yeah, I'm interested to see your deck profiles if you disagree with me, but I think that's fine, to each their own, I guess. But nonetheless, I'm just going to bring to you my own take on this deck profile. So first things first, we start with the right line, as obviously we can see with the right line over here. So we start with the grade 0 first, called Constructor Kit. So it's fairly obvious when the skill is rather generic, so I've explained earlier in my unboxing video. So very generic starter, being rolled upon, when second, draw 1, so that's easy to start. But for the grade 1 and grade 2 right line, I'm playing the Owl Magister right line for Unica, the Unica right line. So the first skill is when this unit is being rolled upon by Owl Magister Chiran Diner, which is the grade 2, use Soul Charge 2, and if one of them is a critical trigger, you get to draw 1. The second skill, kind of, it kind of depends whether or not you want to use it, but I've highly really didn't use it that much. So her skill is that act once per turn, when if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you bind one trigger from your soul, and this unit gets 10k until the end of turn. So quite nice, 18k attacker or 18k booster. But this is kind of like you use the second skill only if you are playing like some of the cards, which I'm gonna get into, like some of the alternatives that I can offer. So yeah, so technically she's good for the reasons that with the Chiran Diner is that I can soul charge 2, and if I did soul charge a trigger, which is more often than not, it's like 60 to 40% like hit or missed, so it's good. And even if you don't get to draw 1, you can soul charge probably like very good grade 1, grade 2s and grade 3, so that's how I do it. So yeah, so that's short spada. Owl Magister short spada, and then you have the grade 2, which is Owl Magister to run Diner. When the first skill doesn't really matter because her skill requires her to be ridden by Astra Unica, so I'm not gonna explain the skill. But if you're some of you who might be curious, if this unit is ridden by Astra Unica, you call her and short spada to the Regard Circle. Okay, so that's what she does. But her second skill also doesn't really matter because I just needed to use her for like this combo as well. So Rearguard once per turn, if you have a Vanguard with Owl Magister, you counter +1, and you choose up to 2 trigger units from the soul. From your drop zone, move it to your soul, and this unit plus 5k doesn't matter. Again, doesn't matter because I'm playing Favrneel. So I just, technically speaking, I just write the grade 0, then I write the grade 1, then I write the grade 2, then I proc her effect. So that's my right line. That's what you can what she does, what they do. Alternatively, you can try to use the Bruce right line with like Matt, Steve, and Richard. I think that is also like quite good because you can guarantee to have a soul charge 1. And you can also guaranteed draw. This is kind of like, I just want to increase the soul charge first because I want to reach the 13 grades first before on my first grade 3 turn already. So the draw doesn't really matter, but yeah, if I manage to soul charge a critical trigger, that would be extra. So of course the ace of this card is Favrneel itself, so I managed to get the FFR foiling from my friend. Thank God he sold me on this one. So like as explained earlier on my previous video, so Favrneel skill is pretty simple. You can only have one copy of this one in the first continuous skill, and then second skill Vanguard. At the beginning of your wing phase, your opponent will choose one of their regards to retire, and if you did not write during this turn, he gets 10k on crit, so he's a 23 attacker, double crits on like the next turn. So not on your first grade 3 turn because like you already rolled during that turn, so it doesn't proc until your next turn, so it's quite good for that double extra 10k and a double crit because it's very scary. You can just swing twice, which we'll get into that. So when during this turn, when your opponent's rear guard is being retired, you can choose one card from your hand and move it to your soul, and you draw one. So it also can ensure you to fill up like some of the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3s from your hand, move it to your soul, and then you can increase this your soul, your grade count, so until 13. So that's good, and you get to draw one, so that's also pretty nice. And then last but not least, once per turn, at the end of the battle that he attack, you counterblast 2. And then if your soul has like 13 or greater dark states, your soul grades has 13 or more dark states, grades or above, he counterblasts 2 and he restands and drive -1. So that's how he does. So that's pretty so that's Favrneel in a nutshell. So now that we're done with the right deck, we are going to the main deck itself. So we are gonna play 4 Eligos. So Eligos is the most important part of the grade 3 for me personally in my deck, because he counter charges, right? So what he does, I'm gonna explain one more time. When this unit attacks, if you have a Vanguard, attacks a Vanguard, if you have Vanguard with Favrneel in its card name, you shove one rear guard to your other rear guard into your soul. Choose one of your opponent's rear guard, retire it, and if your number of dark states cards in your soul is grades in your soul is 13 or greater, you get to counter charge 1. So he is a constant counter charger, so I will play 4 of him. So that's the staple of this card. So I play 4, okay, no more no less. So that's it. Okay, now the next one will be the next support for the next grade 3 will be the Hordist, which comes into the Favrneel deckset. So Favrneel, so the skill is that when this unit attacks, at the end of the battle that this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Favrneel Vanguard, you shove himself to the soul and choose one of your opponent's rear guard and retire it. So that's pretty good, because you can do a retiring. Now you can do a lot of retires in this deck, so that's really good. So second skill, and the soul at the beginning of your right phase, if you have a Favrneel Vanguard, you bind one card, you bind himself from the soul, and you discard one card and you activate Persona Right, and then during this turn you cannot activate Persona Right from any other card effects. And you cannot write it. So that's pretty pretty self-explanatory, because this is your Persona Right enabler in the soul. So if you activate him in the soul, you means that you cannot write, or no, you can activate like Persona Right by any other effects, such as like the Gratis Gratia, which is the Holy Grail Regalis piece. So instant fall off, because he can hit pretty hard in a Persona Right turn. So Favrneel can hit pretty hard in a Persona Right turn, so this is why I want to play 4 of it. Now for the Regalis piece, I've mentioned just now I played a Regalis piece, but I'm not playing Gratis Gratia, I'm playing the Forbidden Surrogate, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Forbidden Surrogate? Yeah. So this is the Regalis piece. You can only play one Regalis piece in this deck. So the skill is you search your deck or your drop zone for up to 2 grade 3 cards, and up to the total of 2 grade 3 cards, or the grade 4 cards, and reveal it and call all of the grade 3 cards, and the grade 4 you put it to reveal and put it to your hand. So if that's what she does, so technically speaking, she is very helpful in a lot of situations, mostly because I get to call like Hordist, and I call Eligos, because you can just call and then they can just do their shenanigans, counter charger, move to soul, then you activate Persona Right. So this is why I play. Obviously I don't play grade 4s in this deck, so this is the next best thing to play in this deck. So so just call like 2. You activate this, you just basically like call 2 different name grade 3s from either from your drop or from your deck, and call it the Vanguard circle. So yeah, that's pretty good. So that's what she does. So with the Regalis piece. Now moving on to the grade 2s, we have the Steam Mage Arshuda. So Arshuda is very self-explanatory. He has 2 skills. Continuous Guardian Circle. If your soul has 7 or more cards, you get 5k shield, which is not a very hard thing to do. So yeah, Second skill is that when this unit is retired from the Guardian Circle, you move it to the soul. So that's pretty good because you can also help to increase like Favrneel, like a great soul count. So yeah, finish guarding, then you put the soul, then you have an extra 2 greats in the soul already. So I play 4, but you can play 3 or 2. Most people I see they play usually 2, but I personally speaking I will play 4. Because the skill is quite kind of good and he's rather defensive, and as you can tell already, like I played already like how many great trees in this deck, like 9, and like excluding the right deck I already have 9 great trees, so the shield value is like pretty you know, kind of pretty bit low, but yeah, I just have to manage with like playing this, but you can also you know, change your mind otherwise. So the next great tier I'm playing is Squalid Freaks. So Squalid Freaks is the promo for like the for Favrneel in the previous shop tournaments. This time round it's been reprinted as 4 off in the Favrneel deck set, so which is quite nice. So I also forgot to mention that Eligos is also a PR. So if you can and he also come with like 1 copy with this. So if you can manage to find another 3 more, then it's good. I'm lucky to get this one for my previous shop tournament. So yeah, that's kind of nice. So the skill I'm gonna have to focus a bit. So Squalid Freak skill continuous during your soul. If you did not write during this turn, he gets great +2. So pretty good. So if you didn't write, so he's gonna be like a great 4 in the soul. So which is also kind of like contributes to like Favrneel soul count as well. And also the soul, if your Vanguard auto, when your grade 3 Vanguard attacks, if you did not write during this turn, you bind this unit from the soul and all of your Favrneel units +5k. And not to mention that if you have like 2 of this, you can, you know, proc twice when Favrneel attacks, and you can just proc it anytime you want. So technically speaking, if you can say the first time when Favrneel attacks, you proc it, then Favrneel +5k. The second time when Favrneel attacks, you can also try to proc him again. But I don't see the reason why would you do that, because you would still proc 10k regardless if you bind 2. If you proc 3, it's gonna be like 15k, so it's pretty good. Yeah, but do bear in mind that you have to like keep track of like how many grades are there in Favrneel souls when you activate his Favrneel skill. So I would say that he's the biggest contributor to the soul count, I would say. So yeah, that's it. So that's what he does. Alright, now excuse me. Alright, now we're moving to great ones. 3 effect PGs and 1 elementary Centaria, so pretty self-explanatory. Effect PGs is the ones that you don't have to discard if you have like 2 or less cards in your hand, so that's good. And then we have Elementaria Sanctitude. Okay. Skill, he's also a Sentinel and be considered as a Sentinel, and then you can only play 1 of these Blades Order in this card, in this deck. So of course that's pretty obvious if I can try to focus on this one. Okay, yeah, so if your opponent has like a triple drive ability, you don't have to discard the hand for this cost, so that's good. And yeah, and once you're done, you know, like doing this for the Blitz Order PG, in fact, so you have to remove this card. So that's what he does. Alright, so that's done for the great ones. I think, no, I have still a lot of great ones to go through. We have Gungram, like Steam Gunner Gungram. I cannot stress how important like Gungram is. So not only he helps you to soul charge with his first skill when placed on a rearguard circle, but also on rearguard once per turn, you soul blast 3 and you draw 1. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Favrneel hand size is not that big and not that great sometimes, so I have to rely on Gungram to do this, you know, all these effects for, you know, for this kind of effect. So that's what he does. Some players I see they play 2, some players I see they play 4, but personally I think 3 is pretty balanced, so I think 3 is probably good enough. Right, alright, so after that we have the great 3s, no, great 1, sorry, second last great one, Sargon, right? Steam Scara Sargon. I think Sargon is the most MVP card of this, you know, and one of the MVP great ones in like a lot of Dark Stick stacks. So it kind of works for Favrneel as well. So when this unit boosts, you choose one of your boosted units and it gets the ability red text the auto Vanguard Rearguard. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, you choose 2 cards from your drop zone and shove it to your soul. So that's good. So not only, let's say for example, you can, you know, rush early game. If you have a Sargon in your early game, you can just boost, and just like try to like shove in like whatever like cards you discarded. So if you discard a grade 3 and then you just use Saga boost attack hit, so you just shove in the grade 3. So it's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So that's why I kind of like to play him. If possible, play 4. I would play 3 because I want to make room for like the other space in this deck. So yeah, so maybe you can just kick out 1 Ashura and play like 4 Sagas. I think that would be fine. But I play 3 for now, and it kind of works. Because late game, you're not gonna need as much, you know, the soul charge from the drops already, because like Favrneel has already sufficient, you know, sufficient grade in the soul to like proc his effect. So early game is quite good. Yeah, and not to mention that if you boost Favrneel for the first time, and Favrneel restands again, and he attack, if he you know, Favrneel attacks hits for the second battle, he can basically also can proc the skill from like drop zone to the soul. So that's good for, you know, that's why Sagan is the MVP for this one. And then after that we have Exaggerate Dragon Deity. So Exaggerate Dragon Deity is the new card from BT11. So what he does is that continuous rear guard, Guardian Circle, and in the soul, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, he gets grade +2. So he's a grade 3 in the soul. So this is why, like, a very huge reason why a lot of players would play this guy in Favrneel, because like he is considered as a grade 3. So if like 2 of him, he's basically that grades. You have like 6 grades in the soul. If you have 9, so it's basically a 9 you know, 9 grades in the soul. So that's great. And when this unit is placed on the rear guard circle, if you have a grade, if your soul has a grade 3, you may soul charge 1. Yeah, so on place, if you have a grade 3 in your soul, you can soul charge 1. And if you soul charge a grade 3 for this effect, you choose 1 grade 3 from your drop zone and move it to your soul. So that's pretty good, you know, not gonna lie, because you can just like shove a lot of, you can just add additional 6 grades in the soul. So this is pretty good for this one. For Exaggerate. So I play 3, but you can play 4. So after that we have like Flinty Slasher. I play vanilla crits. I'm not gonna play effect crits because like number one, you're not, most of the time the effect crits is not really worth it to be utilized, especially when you have to discard a 15k shield just for 2k power pump. That's kind of feel bad, but also it's kind of like a little bit expensive. And number 3 is not really necessary. So yeah, and yeah, we have the Lively Breath Dragon, so that's here. 8 crits and 4 normal heals, vanilla heals. I decided not to play like play effect heals because like whether it's the anti-restand, anti-crit, or the power grade higher, I think those are really unnecessary, because I felt like your shield is very important in a Favrneel deck. So that's why I want to emphasize, because most of the time you're gonna have to draw like some of the grade 3s, and your 5k shoots is not gonna be sufficient. So I would say that like I would play this one. And besides the effects, it's a pretty situational, so I play like yeah, for vanilla fronts. And then I play effect. The only effect triggers I'm playing is the effect fronts. So Diablos Girls Natalia. So if your Vanguard on continuous Guardian Circle, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, she gets 5k shield. So 20k shield, pretty good. I decided not to draw because Soul Charge is a thing, so I do not want to deck out my deck. So this is why I play effect fronts. So last but not least, the Deckset's OT. So you drive check 100 million, and then additional effect, give your Vanguard continuous 10k 1 crit in this entire game. So if you drive check early game with this OT for Favrneel, it's gonna be probably a game over by that point, because continuously all the time Favrneel is gonna be swinging for a constant 33k triple crit, right? And that is without a persona, right? So if you activate like the Favrneel skill to have the 10k 1 crit if you did not write, and then you have plus the OT skill with the 10k 1 crit, so it's pretty good. 33k 3 crit and attack twice, so that's pretty scary as well. Now I'm gonna go with some of the alternatives that some players might play, and some players would probably go through during some of the few things that you can do right now, which is you can play like the Cage of Furious Star. So the skill is an order card, which primarily because like you can call with you can call like some of the very important cards to be soul charged. So as example, if you soul charge Eligos or Gunengram, you can call it out. So yeah, so that's what he does. You soul charge one, you choose a grade 3 or less card from your soul, you connect to Rearguard Circle, and then you need plus 5k, so pretty good in a lot of circumstances, as my justification earlier to play the card. So because like you can call like important key pieces for you to activate some of the effects, or if you want to soul charge, etc. So that's good. And then you have Crucial Dragon, Causality Dragon, Crucial Dragon. So not only he is a continuous Rearguard Guardian Circle to have a 10k power, 10k shield if your opponent drive check to trigger. So he's good. So he's a 23k attacker, and 10k shield provided if your opponent like drive checks or damage checks, you know. So that's pretty good. But also the second skill is that act once per turn, when he attacks a Vanguard unboosted, and you shove one rearguard in the same column as this unit, and perform all the following. You choose one of your opponent's rearguard, retire it, and he gets 5k. So technically speaking, he's an 18k attacker. And also, you can also remove remove an OT from your drop zone, and your opponent cannot call grade 1 or higher from hand to Guardian Circle until the end of the battle. So technically a guard restrict. So he can basically be a 4-off or 3-off depending on like the space in your deck. So I've seen a lot of players are going to play this. This is not gonna like, this is a very staple card, but I would say that the Hordis and the Eligos is like one of my main grade 3s to play in this in this deck. So that is why I don't have much space unless I kick out Ashruda. But again, like I mentioned earlier, if you do not have like a lot of Favrneel's hand size is not that big, and the shield value is kind of like iffy at times. So that's why I play Ashruda instead. So if you can play this card and you can find a way to look around where to fit him, then by all means go ahead. So that's Crucial Dragon. Last but not least, we have Orient. So Orient is also like one of the good cycle cards for like deckset itself. So her skill is that when she is called by call onto the Rearguard Circle other than by a unit card's effect. So you can either call from hand or call by order card. If you pick an order during this turn, you Soul Blast 1, you look at the top 5, you choose one unit card that is no, not a unit card. You reveal one card from among them, and if it's a unique card, you call it to your Rearguard Circle, and if it's the order card, you put it to your hand. So it's as long as it's the same grade or less to your Vanguard. So she's good for several reasons. Number one, you can look for orders, so which means that you can look for the surrogate, for Beetle surrogate. You can look for the the previous order that I've just mentioned. You can look for the Cage of Furious Star, and also she can call like additional rearguard for the effect. So extra calling is pretty good as well. So yeah, that's what she does. And then auto rearguard when she attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. Oh no, when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, you Soul Blast 3, draw 1, and she gets 5k until the end of the turn. So that is very good because you can Soul Blast 3, you can draw 1 plus power, and yeah, pretty good in itself. So that's what that's what she does. Okay, now final thoughts. Well, before we get into final thoughts, I would like to explain to you like some of the combos that you might probably be utilizing in like a lot of in some of the gameplay. So of course, the most important cards is we do some shufflings and mulligans and whatnot, right? You have to make sure that your hand will always have a grade 3 if possible, and if someone is in your early game, like in your early hand, that will be really fascinating as well, because that's how he's supposed to pump the early game in. So let's say for example I've like kind of like shuffle a bit and then I draw 5. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna draw 5, like so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So of course it's not the most ideal hand because it's you kind of like shift mildly shuffle a bit, but in this case you probably wanted to keep like one Ashruda in your hand, and then the Draco Kits. You don't need much Draco Kits for the time being, so you just keep these two for now. And if you can manage to like call, if you manage to have Sargon draw into Sargon, that would be great. But if you can't, then it means that's gonna be fine. So Mulligan, I would say like the Mulligans for this deck is not really complicated. so as I mentioned earlier, like the great trees in this deck is a little bit abundant, more than usual, but because you have this exaggerate is considered as great tree, so it's good. So you stand and draw, and you have Hordis, you just discard it, and then you just write the so assume the short spada. So assume let's assume we go in second and we draw one, and we have this one, so we can't do much, so we have to like swing the Vanguard, and you drive check, and you get a front. Okay, and then let's assume that you take 1 damage, Sargon's there. Okay, oof, never mind, you stand and draw, and you can probably start discarding either Squalid Freaks or you can discard the Draco Kid, but for me, I'll discard the Squalid Freaks because if I manage to get into Sargon on the early game, I can probably like use it to boost. So I write a Magister to run Dino, and then I proc short Spada skill if I manage a crit, which I do, and I draw one. Oh, okay, I drew into OT, but that's okay. So at least you have like 1 extra grade in there, so that's pretty okay. That's a bummer, but that's gonna be fine. So I just have to swing with the Vanguard and I drift check and get a heal trigger. Okay, so I just kill 1. Okay, now that's fine. And then let's say your opponents have to swing twice, and if you're going second, you have to make sure that you have to control your damage into 2 damage if you manage to like say if you want to like proc Favrneel skill early game, so that's what he does. So you stand and then you draw, and then you have Sargon. See, I told you this would work. And then I will discard the, I would say maybe in like some circumstances, if you say that your opponents keep on rushing you, you can just guard with Ashuda, and then after that you just shove in the soul. So by the time that you're on your first grade tree, you have like 5, you have 6, you have like 8. So let's consider that's the case. Alright, so I stand and draw and I discard the I will discard the trigger for this time round, so it's not really necessary. But then you write into Favrneel, and then no right phase skill, but beginning of your main phase skill, you get to retire 1 of your opponent's regards. So you do that, and then you can shove in the Draco Kid, so he's already in the soul, becomes a great tree in the soul, so you shove in and then you draw 1. Okay, and then that's pretty good, and then you can just call Sargon on the back row, and then you can call Hordis, and then you call this one on, and then you just blast away. Probably you want to say like, okay, so that count, like soul count, you have like grade 3, 4, 6, 8, 11, so you need 2 more, right? So probably you can swing Hordis first, then you move it to the soul, then he gets, all 13 grades and done. So you swing with the Vanguard, and then you boost first with Sargon, and then let's assume, because this is going to be your first grade 3 turn, no crits, no whatsoever, so probably your opponent's gonna attack it. So you string drive, and there's nothing, but with Sargon's skill, you can just try to like shove in the grade 2 and the grade 3s, move it to your soul, and yeah, that's about it. That's what you're gonna do. And then end of the battle, you already have like sufficient like grade 13 grades, then you counter +1 restand, and Sargon's effect will still have to still proc because the effect is still there. So you swing for like, I don't know, 13, and you 1 drive check, so there's nothing. Then Eligos swings, then Sargon moves to soul, and then you counter charge. So that's how it works. And so that's the most for basic things that you can do. Alternatively, maybe you could say that you want to call Draco Kid for the soul charge. You can call Squalid Fix because I don't know, you want to like move your attackers. So maybe you can just like swing, and then with swing you drive check, and then if it's a crit, you can just pump the crit power here, and then counterblast 2, and then you can swing this one. Then Eligos, because Eligos has a lot of targets that you can shove into, so you can shove in you can shove in Squalid Freaks, or you can just shove in the the Draco Kid. So either way is still fine. So if you have like 2, let's say for example, if you have like if you have 2 Eligos on the field, that would be rather perfect, because early game, if you have this kind of like setup early game as well, is pretty nice. So because like you can swing, you can move in, then you can swing, you can just try to like move in here as well. So yeah, kind of nice. Or maybe it's the other way around. So because like you can swing this one first, and then you can swing this one, you can swing, then you can either swing in Eligos or the Exaggerate, then you move to soul, then you counter charge. So you can counter charge too, and that's what it does. Alright, so yeah, that's basically the whole what you call that, the part and substance of this deck. So this is how this deck operates in my own case. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any other suggestions, or if you have any other comments as to how do you build your decks? Do you think you're very satisfied with my deck build? Is there something I need to change? Or you can share your deck list in the comments below with your deck log. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good for me personally at the time being. But of course, I wish that I have Crucial Dragon, because that also has like a good amount of guard restrict as well. Also, I think like yesterday with some of my I played with remote with my friends. You can also like play that one Direful Door that also have a guard restrict, so it's also pretty good with Favrneel as well. So I can technically consider that, but again, space issue. So yeah, that's how it goes. So you can pretty set up because like judging with my build, judging with my own build, I think you can also easily get into like 13 grades in your soul by your first grade 3 turn. So if you can manage to do some shenanigans with whatnot, you can do what you can do. So yeah, that's about it. I think that's all for my deck profile. So if you are really interested into my future deck builds with other with my other videos, do hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. Other than that, I guess I'll have to end my video here. This has been Professor Young, my Favrneel deck profile, and I'll see you guys on the next video, and see you.